وَإِذَا كُنْتَ فِيهِمْ فَأَقَمْتَ لَهُمُ الصَّلَاةَ. And when you are among them and lead them in prayer. In this ayah, the method of praying Salatul Khawf is mentioned. Salatul Khawf. In the previous ayah, what was mentioned? Salatul Qasr. The shortened salah, which a person is allowed to pray when he's traveling, whether he's in a state of fear or not. This ayah, in particular, mentions Salatul Khawf. And what is Salatul Khawf? It is the fear prayer. It is the fear prayer. It doesn't mean that you pray the salah when you are very scared. It is when the Muslims are confronting the enemy, or they are in the state of alarm, or they are under fear of attack. They are under fear of attack. And this ayah in particular teaches how to pray Salatul Khawf in congregation, in jama'ah. Because remember earlier in Surah Al-Baqarah we learned that وَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ فَرِجَالًا أَوْ رُكْبَانًا, that if you are in a state of fear, then you pray while riding, or while walking, while running. But over here in particular, when you have so many people, when you have an entire army, when you have a group of people, then what is mandatory? That they must pray in congregation. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? That even in this state, the Muslims are required to pray in congregation. That when you are in the midst of a battle, or when you are confronting the enemy is camped right before you. So in this state, if all of you are praying in congregation together, and not even one person is allowed to stay away from the congregation, then in that state, what are you going to do? Because if all of you are engrossed in salah, then the enemy can just come and attack you and finish you all at once. So, وَإِذَا كُنْتَ فِيهِمْ, when you, meaning when you, O Prophet ﷺ, are in them, meaning in the Sahaba, and all of you fear the enemy, فَأَقَمْتَ لَهُمُ الصَّلَاةَ, then you established for them the salah. Meaning you are doing iqamatus salah. And how are you going to do iqamatus salah? The iqamatus salah, and before that, the adhan. So فَأَقَمْتَ لَهُمُ الصَّلَاةَ includes giving the adhan, giving the iqamah, and then beginning the salah. And this shows to us the importance of praying in congregation. That even in war, men are required to pray together. Then what excuse to those who have cars, they have no fear, they have security, they have a day off, it's the weekend, the masjid is not that far, but still they pray at home, not in congregation? Just imagine that even in battle, the Muslim men are required to pray in congregation. What excuse do those have who have no fear, who are at home, they have their cars, a day off, it's the weekend, nothing stopping them. But still they pray at home. فَأَقَمْتَ لَهُمُ الصَّلَاةَ, then you establish the salah for them. And remember that amongst the conditions of iqamat as-salah is praying in congregation, especially for men. So, how are you going to pray together? The method is that فَلْتَقُمْ, so it should stand. فَلْتَقُمْ is from qiyam. What does qiyam mean? To stand. So فَلْتَقُمْ, so it should stand. Who should stand? طَائِفَةٌ مِّنْهُمْ, a group from them. A group from who? A group from the believers. Meaning, the army is going to be divided into two. One group is going to pray with the Prophet ﷺ. How are they going to pray? وَلْيَأْخُذُوا, and they should take أَسْلِحَتَهُمْ, their weapons. Meaning, even when they're praying behind you in congregation, they're going to hold their weapons. The word asliha is the plural of salah, from the root letter sin, lam, ha. And salah is used for weapons, arms, or different types of weapons that are used in battle. So in particular, salah is used for those weapons that are used in battle. So وَلْيَأْخُذُوا أَسْلِحَتَهُمْ, they should hold their asliha, they should hold their weapons, whether they're heavy or light. Meaning they should pray while holding them. Why? As defense. And also to warn the enemy that, we're still holding our arms. فَإِذَا سَجَدُوا, then when they have prostrated, when they have done sajda. Now what does it mean by this? فَإِذَا سَجَدُوا, when they have done sajda. This is understood in two ways. That first of all, when they have completed one rak'ah. When they have completed one rak'ah behind the Prophet ﷺ. Then what are they going to do? فَلْيَكُونُوا مِنْ وَرَائِكُمْ, then this first group is going to go behind. Meaning now they're going to go guard the rest of the people. And the group that was guarding before is now going to come and pray behind the Prophet ﷺ. So when? After praying one rak'ah behind the Prophet ﷺ. Others have said that what it means by فَإِذَا سَجَدُوا is that when they have completed the salah. When they have completed the salah. Meaning when they have completed performing 2 rak'ah behind the Prophet ﷺ. You understand the two meanings? First of all, they have prayed 1 rak'ah. Secondly, they have completed the salah behind the Prophet ﷺ. So when they're done, either with their first rak'ah or their salah, what are they going to do? فَلْيَكُونُوا مِنْ وَرَائِكُمْ, then they're going to be behind you. Meaning they're going to go at the back of the Muslims in order to guard them until they complete the prayer. وَلْتَأْتِ, and it should come. Who should come? طَائِفَةٌ أُخْرَى, the other group. The other group should now come in order to pray behind the Prophet ﷺ. Which other group is this? لَمْ يُصَلُّوا, who have not yet prayed. Why did they not pray? Because they were guarding the rest of the Muslims. So remember, the Muslim army is divided into two. The first group prays, the other group guards. The first group who was praying, when they're done with their first rak'ah or when they're done with their 2 rak'ah, what are they going to do? They're going to go behind. Now they're going to be on guard. And the part of the army that was guarding before is now going to come. فَلْيُصَلُّوا مَعَكَ, now they should come and pray with you. Now they're going to come and pray behind the Prophet ﷺ in congregation. Now what does this show? You might wonder, simply have 2 jama'at? Huh? One congregation, it's finished. Then you have the other congregation. It would be easier. But the fact is that if the Prophet ﷺ is there, then it's necessary for everybody to pray with the Prophet ﷺ. And it's necessary for everybody to pray behind the leader, behind the imam. Because if there is an imam, and then there is another imam, there are 2 imam, what's going to happen? Division. So there should be no chances of creating any division in the Muslims. So فَلْيُصَلُّوا مَعَكَ, so now they should pray with you. وَلْيَأْخُذُوا حِذْرَهُمْ, and they should take their precaution, their defense, as well as وَأَسْلِحَتَهُمْ, and also their weapons. For the first group, what was mentioned? Only their asliha. Now for the second group, it's not just the asliha that is mentioned, hidr is also mentioned. What is hidr? Precaution, defense, watchfulness, being alert. Why is this mentioned? Because now the Muslims are further in salah. More time has passed in salah. So the chances of danger, in a way, they have increased. So they should be extra cautious. They should be very careful. وَلْيَأْخُذُوا حِذْرَهُمْ وَأَسْلِحَتَهُمْ. They should hold their weapons and they should also be very watchful. وَدَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا. Why should you hold on to your weapons? Why shouldn't you put it down? Because وَدَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا, the disbelievers wish, لَوْ تَغْفُلُونَ عَنْ أَسْلِحَتِكُمْ, that if you would become heedless, تَغْفُلُونَ from غَيْن فَلَام, from غَفْلَة. What does غَفْلَة mean? Negligence. So they wish that if you could only become heedless of your asliha, of your weapons, وَأَمْتِعَتِكُمْ, and also your goods. Amti'ah is a plural of mata'. What does mata' mean? Benefit, baggage, articles of enjoyment. So basically your equipment, your stuff, necessities of life. So for example, your camps, your animals, your food. And just imagine everything that an army takes with them when they are in battle. So they want you to become negligent of your weapons as well as your amti'ah. And when you're negligent, what do they want? فَيَمِيلُونَ عَلَيْكُمْ مَيْلَةً وَاحِدَةً. They will just attack you with a single attack and finish you. That's what they want. So therefore, don't leave your weapons. And be very careful, even in salah. يَمِيلُونَ is from the root letters mim ya lam. And the word mail is to incline. What does mail mean? To incline. And when the word mail is followed by ala, it means to attack. It gives a sense of going against someone, acting in a hostile way. So فَيَمِيلُونَ عَلَيْكُمْ, that they would make an assault upon you. مَيْلَةً وَاحِدَةً, just one assault, one attack. They just want you to get you at once. Now just imagine, in war, what happens? That you want to know the weakness of the other. So when you know the weakness of the other, then you can get them from there. Now if the disbelievers, they know that the Muslims, they have to pray in congregation. And when they're praying in congregation, they're not supposed to move, they're not supposed to hold anything. So when they're praying, then we will attack. But over here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taught a beautiful way of praying salah, so that the Muslims, they can perform their salah properly and at the same time, also defend themselves. وَلَا جُنَاحَ عَلَيْكُمْ, and there is no blame upon you. There is no sin upon you. إِن كَانَ بِكُمْ أَذًى, if you have some adha. What is adha? Some physical harm, physical injury. مِن مَطَرٍ. Matar is from the root letters mim tara, and matar is used for rain. So it's raining, and because of that your clothes become heavy. And if you have a wound or something, then because of the rain, what's going to happen? The water is going to touch it, and it's going to bleed, it's going to hurt even more, it's going to sting. And if it's raining, then what's going to happen? Your clothes are going to become heavy, it's going to be difficult for you to carry your weapons. أَوْ كُنْتُمْ مَرْضَى, or you are sick. And because of your sickness, you're unable to carry your weapons. So in this case, Allah says, there's no sin upon you, أَن تَضَعُوا أَسْلِحَتَكُمْ, that you put down your asliha. What does this show? So far we learned that carrying the asliha, holding on to the asliha, even in the salah, was something mandatory. Because for the both groups it was mentioned explicitly. But now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that if there is a genuine reason because of which you cannot carry the asliha, then you may put it down. Then you may put it down. وَخُذُوا, but you must take حِذْرَكُمْ, your defense, your precaution. Against who? Against the enemy. So be on your guard as best as you can. إِنَّ اللَّهَ أَعَدَّ لِلْكَافِرِينَ عَذَابًا مُهِينًا. Allah has prepared for the disbelievers a humiliating punishment. So in this ayah, we learn about how to pray Salatul Khawf. Now, the Salatul Khawf was prayed in several ways by the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba. And all of those methods, they are correct according to this ayah. We learned that, first of all, the Prophet ﷺ prayed 2 rak'ah, and everyone else prayed 1 rak'ah. How? In turns. That the first group, they came and prayed 1 rak'ah behind the Prophet ﷺ. They went back. The second group came and prayed 1 rak'ah behind the Prophet ﷺ. So this way, what happened? The Prophet ﷺ prayed 2, and everybody else prayed 1. So this was one way of performing the fear prayer. Another way was that the Prophet ﷺ prayed 4 rak'ah, and everyone else prayed 2. Because when the first group when they came and prayed behind the Prophet ﷺ, فَإِذَا سَجَدُوا, what does it mean? When they're done with their 2 rak'at. So when they finished, the Prophet ﷺ sat there in the position of tashahhud. And then later on, when the rest of the army came, he stood up, he prayed another 2 rak'ah, and the second group of the army prayed 2 rak'ah behind him. So this way what happened? He prayed 4, everybody else prayed 2. Another way of Salatul Khawf was that the Prophet ﷺ prayed 1 rak'ah and he sat in tashahhud. And the army behind him who was praying, they stood up and they prayed the second rak'ah. You understand? So he prayed 1, he remained sitting, he didn't get up for the second rak'ah. But those people behind him, what did they do? They got up, they prayed their second rak'ah. When they were done, فَإِذَا سَجَدُوا, they went back. The second group came. The Prophet ﷺ stood up, and again, he prayed 1 rak'ah, and the army behind him prayed 1 rak'ah with him. And when he sat in tashahhud, they stood up and completed their salah. You know how sometimes when you join into the congregation, and if you've missed the first rak'ah, what do you do when the imam says salam? You get up and complete it. So this way, the Prophet ﷺ prayed 2, and everybody else also prayed 2. You understand? The third way is that the Prophet ﷺ prayed 2, and everybody else also prayed 2. So there are different ways of performing the fear prayer. Ibn Abbas who said that once the Prophet ﷺ led the fear prayer, and the people stood behind him. He said, Allahu Akbar, and the people said the same. He bowed, and some of them bowed. Then he prostrated, and they also prostrated. Then he stood for the second rak'ah, and those who had prayed the first rak'ah left and guarded their brothers. The second party joined him and performed bowing and prostration with him. All the people were in prayer, but they were guarding one another during the prayer. So we learned that there are different ways of performing the Salatul Khawf. Now, what lessons do we learn from this ayah? What lessons do we learn? You cannot miss your salah under any circumstances. Is shopping an excuse? Seriously. Is it? No. Is the traffic an excuse? No. Nothing can be an excuse. When we are required to pray, even when the enemy is in front of us, and we have been taught Salatul Khawf, what does it show? That you can never ever leave your salah under any circumstances. What else do we learn from this ayah? About the importance of congregation, jama'ah. For who? For men. That even they have to perform salah in congregation. We also learn about the importance of having one imam, main leader. Why? Because if there are too many leaders, then what happens? You don't know who to ask, who to listen to. There's a chaos. And we also learn tawakkul. That yes, we're supposed to trust upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but at the same time, we're also supposed to take our precaution. That we do our best, and then we leave it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That, oh Allah, we've done the best that we can. Now you protect us. Now you take care of us. We also learn about the importance of unity. That if there's an army, then you can't just pray individually. No. You have to pray together in congregation. What else do we learn from this ayah? An allowance. That if you have something that is very precious or something that you cannot leave, then you may carry it even when you're praying. So for example, if you are in a public place and you have your child with you, and your child has just started crawling, just started walking, and if you just put them next to you, then what's going to happen? You're praying and you don't know where they're going. You don't know where they're going. So you are allowed to carry your child in your salah. Because over here, what do we learn? That you should hold your asliha. And you should also be careful about your amtiyar. Now it doesn't mean that you're in the middle of the masjid and you have your purse in front of you, but still you think that, no, I should hold it. Put it next to you. Put it close to you. If you can put it in your pocket, do that.